my mindset is kind of that you're in a perpetual state of auditioning for any opportunity that anybody in the room might have for you now or in the future. Man, after 2 years of playing for Lauryn Hill and the Fugees, which is a great gig, no complaints, and I'm not going to want to go through the trouble of learning this entire set and putting in all this legwork again a year from now, because I'm going to forget it all in like a week. I know that I will. Okay, so this video is going to be about the process of playing with a new artist for the first time and what's going through my head as far as musical preparation and also just my mindset going into the gig and how I approach it. So I'm going to Panama to play with the artist Sofia Valdes, who is a pop artist from Panama. It's hard to tell how big or far along in their career somebody is just from like internet numbers, but she does have nearly 200,000 listeners on Spotify and, 100,000 Instagram followers. For whatever that's worth, I see that and I think to myself that this is a serious gig. So I'm going to approach it like that, and I really want to knock it out of the park. I got the gig through the guitar player in Lauryn Hill's band. So if you've seen my previous videos, you probably know that I play with Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. Been doing that for about 2 years. I really want to do well on this gig, and I'll tell you why. If you watched my last video about how I got the Lauryn Hill gig, you'll know that a big concept for me in terms of career is the fact that over the long arc of a music career, things lead to things. One gig leads to the other. This leads to that. You do the lame gig and you meet a few people and one of them calls you for the cool gig later on, and that over the course of a long time, this leads to like a generally upward trajectory in one's career. So I'm very in touch with the fact that things lead to things. Just like my ambient synth live streaming during COVID led to me getting the Lauryn Hill gig, and then just like playing in the Lauryn Hill gig led to me meeting the guitar player who called me for this gig, I want this gig to lead to whatever it might lead to. I know that certain people in the band play for other big pop artists, and just like one of them called me for this, I hope that they might call me for that too. So I really want to knock it out of the park so that things lead to things in this context. Basically, my mindset is kind of that you're in a perpetual state of auditioning for any opportunity that anybody in the room might have for you now or in the future. Musical preparation wise, I started by just putting on the playlist of the set, and I just played down the whole thing, and I made like one line of notes for each song in a notes document on my computer. So the first song is called Amsterdam. So I made the note that like G, A, B minor, D. There's a lot more to the song than that. There's hits and there's breaks and, there's all kinds of specific stuff. But just for like a first pass, I just made that one line of notes. Then I go through the set again, song by song, and I make a chart. I use MuseScore to make charts, not Finale, not Sibelius, but MuseScore. I go through and I make a very detailed, specific chart for each song. The reason that I do that is because I'm not even saying that that's what you should do or that's the best approach, but I think I have a bad short-term memory, maybe especially for music, just because I've had to cram so much of it in my head. And so just playing through it a bunch, I'll find that if I do that, I'll still like miss the little nuances of the song. Little things like, the first chorus is a single chorus, and the second chorus is a double chorus, and at the end of the second repetition, it goes to the 5 chord to loop back into the verse, and that's the only time that it does that. Little specific things like that, I'm actually likely to just, like, continuously not internalize if I don't write them down. Maybe it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but it is the case. So I go through and I make a very detailed chart for every song, every hit, every break, everything. And that way, I don't have to go through that process of playing through it over and over and over to get the structure. Also, the other great reason to have the chart is that if I do well in this gig and then I get called for it again in the future, that might be a year from now. And I'm not going to want to go through the trouble of learning this entire set and putting in all this legwork again a year from now, because I'm going to forget it all in like a week. I know that I will. So if I make thorough charts, then a year from now when I do this gig again, I'll be able to go back to them and pick it up much quicker. So I do that, and then I do a couple rounds of playing down the set with just a piano or a Rhodes sound. So just kind of your basic keyboard sound. I'm not, even though I'm on the gig because I'm doing like synth and sound design kind of stuff, which tends to be the kind of thing that I get called for, even though that's kind of my niche, I still want the musical foundation, just the chords and the structure, to be extremely solid. I don't want to be playing all the dopest sounds, but be playing the wrong chords, obviously. So I play through with just a piano or an electric piano sound, just to get the meat and potatoes of the song and make sure I'm super solid on that before I move to anything else. Then once I do that, I do a round where I go through the songs and I just get the sounds. Pads and leads, and I find that I'm almost never really just playing like a Rhodes or a piano sound. It's always some specific stuff. So I'll go and I'll find the right sounds, or I'll make the right sounds. Right now I'm playing the Yamaha Modi X on this gig. I think they have a montage there for me, but I'm still going to bring my Modi X just in case anything goes wrong. Workstations are the shit for a gig where you have to play a variety of different sounds over the course of a whole set. I would love to play my Prophet or a Moog or whatever. I'd love to play my Prophet for the pads and a Moog for the lead sounds, but it's just not in the cards to travel to Panama with all that, and it's not in the cards to get that from Backline either. Anyway, I do this playthrough where I just get the sounds together, and then I do a few playthroughs where I play what I'm actually going to play. And honestly, maybe all that's excessive. I'm not saying that everybody should do that or that you should do that. My brain just tends to feel the most comfortable with things if I'm just as prepared and organized as I possibly can be. Maybe I have a little bit of like OCD in me, or maybe it's my ADD. I just tend to be like really focused and thorough. I kind of like build it from the ground up, from like the vague outline of the song to the specific structure chart to the sounds, and then I'm practicing what I'm actually going to specifically play. And I find that by the time I get there, I've laid such a solid foundation with the charts and all those playthroughs that I don't even need the charts by the end. So that's actually how I felt today. I did my final playthrough of the whole set just now. I didn't even use the charts, and I basically did fine. So yeah, I just did my final playthrough, went well. I think I'm ready for the gig. I've never been to Panama before. I know there's a canal there, but I don't know much else about it. I'm excited to meet new people and do... man, after 2 years of playing for Lauryn Hill and the Fugees, which is a great gig, no complaints, but I think it's going to be the case with any musical situation that you're in, that it has its creative lifespan for you. Like, there's going to be a certain point at which you've squeezed everything you can squeeze musically out of the gig. You've grown as much from it as you're going to grow. You've got the relationships that you're going to get out of it, and at a certain point, you're kind of hanging on for the paycheck. I'm not saying that I'm just hanging on for the paycheck with that gig, but certainly I 90% of the growth in terms of personal experience, musical experience, sound design experience, 90% of that growth has already happened. And so I'm very glad to be doing something new with a new artist, to meet some new people, and to be going to a new place.
Y'all ready? All right, cool. Big and strong, y'all. Let's get it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
3, 4.
Que ese enfoque no va para atrás. Tú mira que ese enfoque no va para atrás. The way that she walks in the room is a scent of perfume. It's a river of love that she weaves.